Now that we have all our views on our sheet, let's go and add some dimension labels. I'm going to customize my drawing sheet a little bit more. So if I go on the left hand side and up top, I see this monospace 821, which is basically the font type for my texts on my drawing sheet. And I can choose any other font which suits my needs. So please feel free to go through this and select the appropriate type. Now if I go on the left hand side where it says default and drop that menu down, it gives me options to customize even more things. So such as this dimension label which says default, and then that's the font type, and then also the font size. I can go and make it 10 millimeters, and I can select that using a single left click. Now on the right hand side on the toolbar, to start the dimensioning process, I'm going to select the dimensions tool. So when I double click on it, I enter the dimensioning mode. And also, we're not going to label the dimension from scratch. All the dimension information already exists in our 3D part, and we are just using this tool to call those dimensions out on our sheet. So if I select entities, for example, on the front view, if I select this vertical entity, left click on it once, and then another left click on this entity, then CATIA shows me the distance in between them. And now I can fix this 75 dimension in a vertical fashion, so I can make it go up and down, and I can place it somewhere here using a left click. Similarly, I can also go and dimension the distance between the bottom horizontal line and the smaller horizontal line. And that distance is 75. This time around, I can position this 75 dimension text in a horizontal fashion, and I will fix it here using a left click one more time. Now let's move on to the left view and let's dimension the total height of this part. So that will happen by selecting the bottom horizontal line using one left click, and then I go on the top and the top horizontal line, another left click, that will show up the height dimension, which is 100 millimeters, and then using another left click I can place this 100 text at this cursor location. Let's move on and dimension the bottom view. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, and I want to dimension the thickness for this part. So I will select the bottom horizontal line using one left click, and then top horizontal line using another left click, and then the thickness dimension appears, which is 10 millimeters, and I will use my left click to place this 10 at this location. Zooming out. So let's go and dimension the top view. So I want to dimension the distance in between these two vertical lines, and that is 26.35, and I'm going to place this 26.35 at this point using a left click. How about if I want to dimension a radius or a angle? For that purpose, I will go back on the toolbar on the right hand side of the screen, and where the dimension icon is, I'm going to drop that menu down, and then I have more options to choose from. I will select the radius dimension option, and also just for customization's sake, I'm going to go up on the left hand side of the screen and check my font size. I will make it 10 millimeters and zoom in a little bit on the corners of the front view and select the entities which need a radius dimension labels. So here, left click once, the radius dimension appears, and if I move my mouse cursor, I can choose to locate the way the radius dimension looks, and I'm going to make it look this way with a left click, lock that radius dimension position into picture. Again, I can go and dimension the radius over here. So that's the fillet area, and the radius is 2 at that location. And also over here, I'm going to go and dimension this fillet, and that dimension is radius 2 again. Left click will fix that radius dimension at that location. How about I want to dimension the angle in between these two lines? So for that purpose, I will go on the right hand side of the screen where the radius dimension is, drop that menu down and select the angle dimension icon by double clicking on it. And again, just for customization purpose, I will go and change the font size to 10 millimeters. And now if I zoom in a little bit, now I will go and select this line segment with one left click, and then the angled line segment with another left click, and then it shows up the 25-degree dimension, and then I can place it here with the final left click, which is the third left click, and that will fix the 25 dimension into its location. I want to dimension the section view and the detailed view as well. So I will go on the right hand side at the angle dimension icon, drop down that menu, and then select the dimension icon one more time by double clicking on it. And now I can go and dimension the section views. So let's dimension the distance in between these two entities, which is 1.44. And also if I zoom in on the detailed view, I want to dimension the distance between these two entities, which is 3.92. So we are almost done with our labeling of dimensions. If I hit the escape key on my keyboard, I will exit out of the dimensioning mode. And also some of the dimensions, such as the section view, have a 1.44 or a 3.92 dimension on the detail view. We can add tolerancing values to these dimensions. When I double click on this 1.44 millimeter dimension, CATIA brings up the dimension value dialog box. I'm just going to click OK on this dialog box and make it disappear. And then when I go up top on where it says no tolerancing, I can choose from a range of tolerancing options, and for this case I'm going to select tolerancing num2. Next to it I'm going to drop this down and I will give it a tolerancing value, so maybe 0 plus or minus 0.5 millimeters or plus or minus 20 millimeters. So I'll give it a plus or minus 0.5 millimeters, and that shows up for the tolerancing. And same with the detail view, I'm going to double click on the 3.92 dimension, and then again the dimension value dialog box appears. I'm going to click OK, go up top just below the menu bar and then select tool num2, and again I'm going to select plus or minus 0.5 millimeters for the tolerancing range. And also I can add a color to this isometric view. So if I go on the product tree area in the isometric view, right click on it and select properties. And if I go on the view tab and scroll down a bit, I can select enable occlusion culling. And then under exact view, I can select the raster option. And if I click on the options button, I can choose to have it in the shaded with edges mode. So if you're trying to send this drawing out to the machining department or the 3D printing department, they have a view of how this part looks in 3D mode. And also I can go and save this part as a DXF or a DWG. I can also save this as a PDF on my computer. That concludes the training in this module. Please open up all the drawing files and the part files I have provided for this course and practice as much as you can on CATIA. The more practice you do, the better you get with this software.